My dad kicked me out at 18 to give my room to his golden stepson and said I needed to grow up. Years later, they showed up, begging me to lie to cover up his crime. I refused. Now they're stuck living with the consequences they built. Hey, Reddit. My family treated me like a spare part my whole life, so I pieced out, built something real for myself, and never looked back. But of course, they just couldn't leave me alone. Before I get into the chaos, let me take you back to where it all started. I'm 23 now. Everything started when I was 18. Blake isn't my half-brother, just my stepbrother. My parents split when I was 5, right around the time Margaret came into the picture. My dad married her soon after. Blake was 11. My biological mom was still around, trying to keep things steady while everything else shifted. That changed when my mom was diagnosed with cancer when I was 14. She died 2 years later, and from that point on, the house stopped feeling like mine at all. Blake had always been the favorite. My dad raised him like his own flesh and blood. Attention, praise, money, time, while I was treated like an afterthought in my own home. Margaret made sure that dynamic stuck. She wasn't overtly cruel. She just quietly positioned everything as tough love or teaching me responsibility, while Blake coasted on being the golden child. My mom tried to counterbalance it, but she was fighting cancer and holding the family together at the same time. She'd tell me in private that I was stronger than I realized, that one day I'd understand why she said that. I didn't then, but I do now. Blake, 6 years older, made it obvious from day one that he saw me as an obstacle. He pushed me around, locked me out of rooms, hid my things, and told me I wasn't even my dad's real kid. If I complained, Dad brushed it off as boys being boys. The night before my 7th grade science fair, Blake accidentally knocked my solar system project off the table in the garage. It shattered. Dad told me I should have been more careful, then took Blake to his football game. My mom stayed with me and helped glue together whatever we could. She promised we'd build a better one next year, something we never got to do. When Blake left for college, I finally breathed. For the first time, the house felt calm. But by then, my mom's illness had worsened. Stage 3 lung cancer became stage 4 within months. Chemo wrecked her. I spent my mid-teens scheduling her appointments, managing medications, watching her fade. My dad checked out emotionally, and Margaret played the supportive wife only when people were watching. When my mom died 2 months before my 17th birthday, I realized I'd been the only thing holding the household together. The moment she was gone, so was my place in that home. For months after the funeral, everything was cold. Dad barely spoke to me. Margaret perfected her distant politeness. I cooked, cleaned, and kept the house running like always. But now it was clear none of it mattered. I wasn't family. I was labor. Blake came home for the funeral, and strangely didn't bother me for once. Looking back, that wasn't compassion. It was calculation. He'd been gone for years. College, a corporate job, a quick marriage to Melissa after she got pregnant. Then he lost his job, and suddenly the golden boy couldn't afford rent with a wife and toddler. He did what he always did, ran straight back to my dad. And my dad, predictable as ever, welcomed him home like royalty. Dad sat me down on a Thursday evening and dropped it on me without any buildup. Blake's moving back home with Melissa and the baby. They need your room for the nursery. You've got 3 weeks to find somewhere else to live. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. There wasn't one. We have a guest room, I said. They can use that. They're using the guest room for themselves. The baby needs proper space. So where am I supposed to go? You're almost 18. You should start acting like an adult anyway. Margaret was standing in the doorway, arms crossed, watching. When I looked at her, she gave me this sympathetic smile that didn't reach her eyes. It's what's best for everyone, she said. Blake has a family to think about. The baby needs a stable environment. You understand. I understood perfectly. I understood that I'd never mattered to them, and now they didn't even have to pretend anymore. I tried to fight it. Told my dad this was insane, that he couldn't just kick out his own son. He looked at me like I'd insulted him and said if I didn't leave voluntarily, he'd call the police and have me removed for trespassing. His own kid, threatened with cops. Margaret chimed in. We're not trying to be difficult. We're trying to help you become independent. Your mother would want you to stand on your own 2 feet. Using my dead mom as justification for kicking me out. That's when I knew there was no point arguing. I called my grandparents that night, my mom's parents. They lived about 6 hours away in a different state, and I'd barely seen them since the funeral, because my dad always had excuses for why we couldn't visit. They picked up on the second ring, and when I explained the situation, my grandpa went silent for a long moment. Pack your things, he finally said. We're coming to get you this weekend. They showed up 3 days later with a truck. My grandpa looked at my dad once with pure contempt. You should be ashamed, my grandpa said. My dad went back inside while I loaded boxes. Margaret came out as we finished. She had a folder in her hands and a concerned expression. Before you go, there's something you should know, she said. We've been setting aside money for your college fund. She handed me the folder. Single bank statement showing $1,200. $1,200, I said. My grandma, who'd been quietly seething in the truck, laughed. Right. You just renovated your entire kitchen last year. I handed the folder back. Keep it. The look of relief on her face told me everything. This was bait. She wanted me to refuse so she could tell people we tried to help him, but he was too angry to accept it. Perfect narrative for later. Blake hadn't even shown up. He was already moving his stuff into my room. The drive was quiet. My grandpa said, "Your mother told me before she passed that we needed to watch out for you. Said your dad had changed." She was right, I said. My grandparents refused to let me pay rent. Said I was still a kid who deserved a home. But once I got steady hours at the bookstore, I started slipping money into the grocery jar when they weren't looking. They gave me stability. I needed to give something back. I finished high school remotely, graduated with my grandparents in the audience, got accepted to State University about an hour away from their house, planned to commute and work part-time. For close to 2 years, I didn't hear from my dad, Blake, or Margaret. I deleted their numbers, blocked them, moved on. My grandparents treated me like an actual human being, had dinner conversations where people asked how my day was and listened, had a room that was mine, started to feel like maybe things could be okay. Then they showed up. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was in my room reading for a summer class when my grandma came upstairs with a look that instantly set me on edge. "Your father's here," she said. "Blake too." And that woman, Margaret. My grandma hadn't spoken her name since the day she married my dad. "Tell them to leave. Your grandfather already tried," she said. "They're insisting it's urgent. Legal trouble." That made me go downstairs. They were sitting in the living room looking wrecked. My dad thinner with dark circles, Blake jittery and pale, Margaret trying and failing to look composed. My grandpa stood by the door, clearly 1 second away from throwing them out. "You've got 10 minutes, I said. "Then you leave." My dad opened his mouth with some fake warm greeting. I cut him off. 9 minutes now. Blake leaned forward. "We're in trouble. Serious trouble. We need your help." Then they dumped the whole story on me. After Blake lost his job, my dad got him a position at this industrial leasing company owned by Raymond, my mom's closest friend. Blake decided the salary wasn't good enough, so he created a fake vendor called Summit Industrial Supply and routed payments to himself. $97,000 in 4 months. When the accountant flagged irregularities, Blake panicked, deleted emails, forged my dad's signature, even tried to frame an admin assistant. The audit uncovered everything, and since my dad had approved the early invoices without checking, they assumed he was involved. The only reason they weren't already in jail was because Raymond respected my mom. Out of loyalty to her, he gave them 90 days to pay back everything plus 30% interest, 3 weeks left. $126,000. "And you're telling me this why?" I asked. My dad leaned forward like we were having a heart-to-heart. "We need you to help explain to Raymond that we used the money for your college fund, that it was all for you." I laughed in his face. "You want me to lie and say you stole $100,000 from my college fund when you kicked me out years ago?" "It's not lying," Margaret said smoothly. "We did set money aside for you. The situation just shifted. You showed me a bank statement with $1,200. Dad bristled. "We had more than that. We supported you your whole life. That money was always meant for your future." "So where is it?" Silence. Blake finally muttered, "Things came up. The baby needed stuff. Melissa wanted the nursery redone." "So you spent my imaginary college fund on nursery decorations?" Dad's voice snapped. "It wasn't imaginary? Then explain kicking me out and telling me to act like an adult." Margaret switched to her practiced, sympathetic tone. "Look, I know you're hurt, but this is bigger than old resentments. Blake could go to prison. Your father could go to prison. Do you really want that on your conscience?" "My conscience is spotless," I said. "Worry about your own." Dad reached into a folder. "Just sign this. It explains everything. We took out loans, made financial sacrifices, all to send you to college debt-free. Raymond will understand." I read it. A complete fabrication. "This is fraud. You're asking me to sign a statement full of lies." "It's not lies," he insisted. "It's context. It shows our intentions." "No," I said. "Your intention was to steal $100,000. Dad's voice cracked. "We were desperate. If I get fired, we lose the house. Everything we've built," there it was. "The real reason, not family, reputation." "Then you should have made better choices." Blake lurched to his feet, face red. For a second, I thought he might actually swing at me. My grandpa shifted, ready. Blake sat back down. "You owe us this," Blake spat. "We raised you, fed you, gave you a place to live. And now you turn your back? You made my life miserable," I said. Destroyed my things, spread rumors about me, made sure I had no friends, and when I finally escaped, you took my room before I'd even moved out. We were never family. Margaret stood up. Your mother would want, I snapped. Don't! Don't you dare use my mom to justify this. She fought cancer while all of you made things harder, and now you want to drag her into your scam? Get out. Just think about it, Dad said weakly. We're running out of time. You've got options, I said. Sell your house. Blake sells his truck. Margaret sells her jewelry. Take out loans. Fix your own mess. But leave me out of it. My grandpa had had enough. He opened the door. He said, get out. They finally left. Upstairs, my phone had 3 missed calls from an unknown number and a voicemail from Blake. I know you're mad, but if we go down, we're taking you with us. We'll tell Raymond you were involved, that you asked us for money. Help us or you go down too. I saved it. Then started a folder. Screenshots, call logs, every scrap of evidence. Then another voicemail, same number. My dad's voice, weary and desperate. Blake, you need to think about what's best for everyone. If someone has to take responsibility, it should be the person who actually did it. I have a family to think about. I can't go to jail. You're young. You'll bounce back. Just think about it. Meant for Blake. Sent to me. And absolutely useful. I saved that one too. Looked like this was only getting started. They gave me exactly 2 days before the real pressure campaign started. First came the text from numbers I didn't know. Family members I barely remembered. Distant cousins, friends of Margaret's. All with the same basic message about not letting pride get in the way of doing the right thing. One text from a cousin I hadn't spoken to in years. Hey man, your dad mentioned you guys are having some issues. Family sticks together through tough times. Don't burn bridges you might need later. Then, my grandparents started getting calls. Relatives asking why they were turning me against my father. Margaret's book club friends expressing concern. My grandpa shut that down fast, but it was clear they'd started a whisper campaign. The nuclear option came 3 days after their visit. I got a call from the admissions office at my university. Someone had contacted them claiming there were irregularities with my financial aid application. The woman on the phone was very professional, but very concerned. Said they needed to verify some information, and I should come to the office as soon as possible. I went in that afternoon. Turned out someone had submitted an anonymous tip that I'd lied about my family's income on my financial aid form, that my father made significantly more than what was reported, and I was committing fraud to get aid I wasn't entitled to. The financial aid officer walked me through it, showed me the anonymous email that had been sent. It was careful, didn't make specific accusations, just raised questions about accuracy and suggested they investigate. Is any of this true? She asked. No, ma'am. I filled out those forms with my grandparents' accountant. Everything was verified. I don't even live with my father anymore. That's what your file shows. But we have to follow up on these things. It took 2 hours of pulling documents and records to prove everything was legitimate. The officer was apologetic, said it was probably nothing, but they had to be thorough. I knew exactly who'd sent that email. Then came the call from my part-time job at a local bookstore. Manager said someone had called claiming to be my father, expressed concern that I might be using controlled substances and stealing to support a habit, said I'd been struggling since my mother died, and they wanted to give her a heads up. My manager didn't believe it, knew me well enough to know it was garbage, but she had to document the call, had to note that a concern was raised. Credit alert came next. Someone had tried to open a credit card in my name. Application was flagged because the address didn't match my records. Here's what I figured out. They weren't trying to make me cooperate anymore. They'd decided I wouldn't help them. So now they were trying to wreck my credibility. Make me look unstable, dishonest, unreliable. That way, if I went to Raymond or the police, they could point to a pattern of problems and say I was lying to get revenge on my family. Scorched earth because they had nothing left to lose. That night, Melissa called, Blake's wife. We'd barely ever spoken, and I almost didn't answer. Please don't hang up, she said. She sounded exhausted. I need to talk to you. Alone. About what? About Blake. About what really happened. We met at a coffee shop the next day. She looked rough. Dark circles. Hadn't done her hair. Looked like she'd been crying. Blake doesn't know I'm here, she said. He'd lose his mind if he found out. But you need to know the truth. She laid it all out. The money Blake stole didn't go to family expenses or bills. It went to his ego. Expensive dinners, VIP sections at clubs, a luxury car lease he kept at a friend's place so she wouldn't know. He'd been living a secret life, playing big shot with stolen money, while she thought they were broke. He told me we couldn't afford daycare, she said. I've been home with the baby for 2 years because he said we didn't have the money. He was spending thousands on himself. Why are you telling me this? Because they're planning to frame you. Blake and your dad and Margaret. They have this whole story worked out. You asked Blake for money. He gave it to you to help you out. When the theft was discovered, you convinced him to cover for you. Without you playing along and signing their statement, it's just their word against yours. My blood went cold. Do you have proof? She pulled out her phone, showed me screenshots from Blake's cloud backup. She'd grabbed everything when she suspected he was cheating. Text messages between Blake and my dad working out the story. Voice notes from Margaret coaching them on how to make it believable. Then she showed me more. Bank alerts from a hidden account. The lease agreement for the luxury car, signed 3 months ago. Photos from his phone of him at clubs, dropping money like he owned the place. I can't let that happen. But I also can't go to the police myself. Why not? Blake's threatened me. Said if I try to leave or talk, he'll fight me for custody and claim I'm an unfit mother. His dad will back him up, pay for lawyers I can't afford. I'm trapped until I can get my daughter somewhere safe. But you can use this. You can protect yourself. Why help me at all? Her eyes filled with tears. Because you were just a kid when they treated you like trash. I watched Blake brag about it, laugh about it. I thought it was sibling rivalry. I didn't realize how cruel it was until recently. And now they're trying to destroy you again. I won't be part of it. I thanked her and left. Sent the screenshots to my secure email, added them to my evidence folder. That afternoon, I got a text from Margaret. We need to talk. Face to face. Just you and me. There are things you don't understand about your father. I didn't respond. Another text. It would be a shame if Raymond heard you were uncooperative. He thinks very highly of you. Would hate for that to change. I took a screenshot, added it to the folder. Then I did something I should have done from the start. I called Raymond. Raymond agreed to meet me at his office on Monday morning. I'd known him my whole life as Uncle Ray, this friendly guy who'd show up at our house for holidays and always brought me books about space and dinosaurs. He'd been at my mom's funeral and told me if I ever needed anything to call him. I'd never taken him up on it, until now. His office was in this industrial complex on the edge of town. Big warehouse buildings, equipment yards, the whole operation. He met me in the lobby himself, gave me a hug that actually felt genuine. You look like your mom, he said. She'd be proud of you. We went to his office and I laid it all out. Showed him the voicemail from Blake threatening to frame me, the screenshots from Melissa about their plan to blame everything on me, the text from Margaret implying he'd believe them over me, the attempt to sabotage my financial aid. Raymond listened to everything without interrupting. When I finished, he sat back in his chair and rubbed his face. Your mom warned me about your father, he said. Before she died, she made me promise to look out for you because she knew what would happen when she was gone. She knew? She knew your father resented you. Never said why, but she knew. And she knew Margaret was poison. Made me swear that if you ever needed help, I'd be there. He pulled out a file from his desk. This is the case against your father and Blake. Want to see what they actually did? The file was thick. Invoices, bank transfers, email chains. Blake had created a fake vendor called Summit Industrial Supply. Generated fake invoices for equipment rentals that never happened. My dad signed off on the first few without checking. Once the pattern was established, Blake started forging my dad's signature. The money went to a business account under the fake company name, then transferred to a personal account, then withdrawn as cash or used for purchases. $97,000 over 4 months. When my accountant started asking questions, Blake deleted emails, tried to alter records in our system. And when that didn't work, he tried to frame one of our office assistants, planted fake evidence in her desk, created a paper trail suggesting she'd been skimming. Did it work? For about 2 days. Then she came to me in tears, and I looked into it myself. Found Blake's digital footprint all over the frame job. That's when I knew this wasn't just theft. It was calculated, cruel, and willing to destroy innocent people to cover itself. What about my dad? Your father signed off on invoices without verifying them. That's negligence. But when I confronted him, he didn't admit fault or cooperate. He tried to claim the invoices were forged, that Blake acted alone. Then, he came to me privately and asked me to drop the audit. Said it would look bad for the company, that we should handle it quietly. That's when he crossed from incompetent to complicit. Raymond pulled up something on his computer. I pulled security footage. Your father and Blake met in the parking lot 3 times after my accountant started asking questions. They knew. They were coordinating. Raymond leaned forward. I offered them a chance to make this right. Return every penny plus interest, resign quietly, no charges filed. All they had to do was own up to it and fix it. What did they say? They asked for more time. Then they came up with this story about your college fund. Wanted me to believe they'd been trying to help you and made poor choices. I told them I'd think about it. Then I did some checking. He pulled out another paper. This is the bank account they showed you. The $1,200 college fund. Want to know when that account was opened? When? 2 days before they kicked you out. They opened it, deposited $1,200, and were planning to use it as proof they'd been supporting you all along. It was a prop. The truth hit hard hearing it confirmed. I'd suspected, but knowing for sure made it real. They tried to use your mom's memory as a shield, Raymond said. Came to me talking about how she'd want me to give them another chance, how she'd want the family to stay together. Your mom would have told them off. What happens now? Now I make a decision. I was trying to honor your mom's memory by giving them a chance to make this right. I didn't want to destroy them because she'd loved your dad once. I was holding back out of respect for her. He leaned back in his chair. But then I saw what they were doing to you. The financial aid sabotage, the fake story, the threats. They're trying to destroy a kid who's done nothing wrong. So what happens now? Now I stop holding back. The 90-day deadline is in 3 weeks. If they don't pay in full, I file charges. But after seeing what they tried to do to you, I'm inclined to skip the waiting and go straight to the police. They're going to use that fake story about me, I said. Try to tell you I was involved. I know. Blake's lawyer visited yesterday. They're preparing to claim you extorted money from Blake, that he was trying to help you. They're setting you up as the fall guy. Can they do that? They can try. Won't work, but they can try. Problem is, false accusations like that can still cause you trouble even if you're cleared. So what do I do? Raymond smiled. You let me handle it. Your mom made me promise to protect you. I'm keeping that promise. He picked up his phone and made a call right there in front of me. Detective Morrison? Ray here. We need to talk about that fraud case I mentioned. It's escalated. I'm filing a formal complaint and I've got evidence of witness intimidation and attempted blackmail. He talked for 10 minutes, laying out everything. The threats against me. The attempts to frame their office assistant. The coordination between my dad and Blake to cover it up. When he hung up, he looked at me. Detectives will want to talk to you. Bring everything you've got. Every voicemail, every text, every screenshot. This isn't just about the money anymore. The investigation took time. Detectives showed up at my grandparents' house about a week later, and I gave them everything. Blake's threats, the fake story they'd built, Melissa's screenshots, the sabotage attempts on my financial aid. They were professional and thorough, no judgment. Detective Park, one of the investigators, told me, cases like this usually come down to he said, she said. But you've got a paper trail. That makes our job easier. Within 2 weeks, they executed search warrants. They seized my dad's computer, Blake's phone, company documents, everything. Digital forensics pulled up deleted emails Blake thought he'd gotten rid of. Full text chains, forged signatures, all of it pointed straight to him. Blake panicked first. He immediately tried to flip on my dad, claiming my father forced him into the whole scheme and he'd just been following orders. He played the victim hard. Didn't work. Every trace of planning and execution led back to him. My dad tried a different angle, claimed Blake forged his signatures, that he'd been completely unaware of the fraud. But detectives had the parking lot footage of them meeting after the internal audit started, plus messages showing they were coordinating. He was done too. Margaret held out the longest. She played the shocked, betrayed wife, swearing she had no idea what they'd been doing. That lasted about a week before detectives found her texts coaching Blake on how to frame me and telling him which details would sound believable. Then they found messages she'd sent to the admin assistant Blake originally tried to frame, telling her it would be better for everyone if she stayed quiet, offering her money to sign a statement, and hinting that making waves could ruin her career in a small town. The assistant had saved everything. The community response was brutal. My dad and Margaret had spent years crafting the perfect family image. Photos, events, charity boards. Overnight, it collapsed. Margaret's name vanished from fundraisers. Social media people pretended they'd never known her. One afternoon at Raymond's office, his assistant mentioned she'd run into Margaret at the grocery store. Said Margaret looked terrified, head down, rushing out like she expected someone to spit on her. Her empire of appearances was gone. Blake's wife filed for divorce and immediately moved back to the city with their daughter. She filed for full custody, and Blake didn't even contest it. The company released a short statement confirming fraud had been uncovered and that the employees involved had been terminated. No names needed. Everyone knew. My dad resigned. Blake was already fired. 3 months after the investigation began, the DA officially charged them. My dad. Conspiracy to commit fraud, filing false documents, witness intimidation. Blake. Fraud. Forgery, identity theft, attempted destruction of evidence. Margaret, witness intimidation and conspiracy. They all hired expensive lawyers and tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. Eventually, they were pushed into plea deal. Blake got 36 months, with possible parole after 24 if he cooperated. My dad got 24 months. Margaret, who fought the longest, finally accepted 12 months plus probation. All three were ordered to pay full restitution, $126,000, split between them. The court put liens on their house, Blake's truck, and basically everything they owned. Sentencing came 5 months later. The courtroom was almost empty. Their friends didn't bother to show up. I sat in the back with my grandparents. Blake went first. He tried to blame everyone but himself. The judge wasn't impressed. She gave him the full 36 months and made it clear parole wasn't guaranteed. My dad's hearing was rough. He tried a speech about mistakes and learning from them. The judge cut him off. "You didn't make mistakes," she said. "You tried to harm your own son to cover your crimes. That's a choice. 24 months. Margaret cried through hers. The judge remained unmoved. "You had multiple opportunities to stop this," she said. "Instead, you helped orchestrate a plan to frame an innocent young man and intimidate witnesses. 12 months. They were taken into custody immediately. Walking out of the courtroom afterward, I didn't feel triumphant or relieved, just quiet. It scared me for a moment until I realized it wasn't numbness. It was peace." My grandpa put a hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I think so." Raymond was waiting in the hallway. He hugged me and handed me an envelope. "What's this?" "Job offer," he said. "Your mom made me promise to help you if you ever needed it. We've got an internship, 20 hours during school, full-time in the summer. Property acquisition analysis. Pays well. Looks great on a resume. You don't have to do this." "I know. I want to. And your mom would have wanted me to." I accepted. 2 weeks later, I started. Turns out I was good at it. Research, analysis, tracking property histories. It clicked. That fall semester, I kept my grades up, made new friends, and built a life that finally felt like mine. Blake got out after 28 months on good behavior. I heard he moved to another state where no one knew him. Fine by me. My dad served the full 24 months. Margaret got out after 8 for good behavior. I didn't visit, didn't write, didn't acknowledge their existence. Then, 14 months after Margaret got out, they showed up at my grandparents' house again. It was a cold Saturday in November. I was home for Thanksgiving break, sitting at the kitchen table working on a research paper for my econ class. My grandma was making pie crust. Normal afternoon. Then, the doorbell rang. My grandpa answered it. I heard his voice go hard. "You need to leave. Please, just 5 minutes." My dad's voice. Older, rougher. I went to the door. My grandpa tried to wave me back, but I shook my head. Might as well get this over with. They looked rough. My dad had aged a decade. Hair mostly gray now, face thinner, shoulders slumped like the weight of everything had finally broken him. Margaret looked exhausted. No makeup, none of the polish she used to have. Blake was with them, standing back like he wanted to be anywhere else. "You've got 5 minutes," I said. "Talk." My dad started with an apology. Said he'd had a lot of time to think in prison. Realized how badly he'd failed me as a father. How he'd let his resentment turn him into someone his wife wouldn't recognize. "Your mother would be ashamed of me," he said. "I'm ashamed of me." "Okay. That's it? Okay? What do you want me to say? You spent 18 years making me feel worthless. Then you kicked me out. Then you tried to frame me for a crime I didn't commit. You threatened my education, my future, my family. Now you've served your time and you want forgiveness? I want a chance to make it right." "There is no making it right." Margaret spoke up, and her voice didn't have that controlled tone anymore, just sounded tired. "I know I can't undo what I did," she said. "But I want you to know it wasn't personal. I was protecting my family. Blake's 29 years old. Was 29 then too. He didn't need protecting. He needed consequences. I see that now." "Do you? Because it seems like you're here trying to get something from me again." "We're not," my dad said. "We just wanted you to know we're sorry. That we understand if you never want to see us again. But we're sorry." Blake hadn't said anything, just standing there looking at the ground. "You got something to add?" I asked him. He looked up. "I was jealous of you." "Of me?" "You were the golden child. Of how much your mom loved you. How she always put you first. My mom never gave a care about me, and watching yours love you made me hate you. So I made your life miserable. I'm sorry. Your apology doesn't change anything." "I know." We stood there in silence, the cold air coming through the open door. "Here's the thing," I said. "I don't hate you anymore. I don't feel anything about you. You're just people who used to make my life miserable. I moved on, built something without you. And I don't need you now either." My dad nodded slowly. "I understand. But can I ask one thing?" "What?" "Your mom left something for you. I was supposed to give it to you when you graduated high school, but everything fell apart. Can I give it to you now?" He pulled out a small envelope from his jacket. My mom's handwriting on the front. My name, I took it. Didn't open it with them standing there. "Anything else?" "No, that's all." "Then leave. Don't come back. Don't call. Don't try to find me. I'm not your son anymore. I haven't been for a long time." My dad's eyes watered, but he nodded. They turned and walked back to their car. Margaret looked back once, but I'd already closed the door. I went back to the kitchen table. My grandparents didn't ask questions, just gave me space. I opened the envelope. A letter in my mom's handwriting, dated 2 weeks before she died. My beautiful boy. If you're reading this, I'm gone, and your father has finally given you what I left for you. I'm sorry it took him so long. I'm sorry for a lot of things. I know things are hard with your dad and Margaret. I know Blake makes your life difficult. I wish I was strong enough to fix it. But the cancer is winning, and I'm running out of time. Here's what I need you to know. You are worth more than how they treat you. You are smart, kind, strong, and capable. Don't let them convince you otherwise. Your father loves you, but he's broken in ways I couldn't fix. He resents you because you remind him of his own failures. That's his problem, not yours. I've set some things up for you. Raymond knows what to do. When things get bad, and they will get bad, go to him. He'll help you. I made him promise. Build a life that's yours. Don't let them drag you down. Don't let them make you small. I love you more than anything in this world. I'm proud of you. I'll always be proud of you, Mom. I read it 3 times, folded it carefully, put it in my wallet where I've kept it ever since. My grandma came over and hugged me. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. That night, I sat down and wrote my own letter. Not to my dad or Margaret or Blake. To myself. Wrote down everything I'd survived. Everything I'd built. Every time I'd chosen to stand my ground instead of folding. Every moment I'd refused to let them break me. Wrote down who I'd become in spite of them. Then I burned it in the fireplace and watched the smoke carry it away. Because I didn't need to hold on to it anymore. Didn't need the anger or the hurt or the weight of their dysfunction. I had a job I was good at. Had straight A's that semester. Had a family who actually loved me. Had a future that was mine. They'd tried to destroy me to save themselves. And it had backfired completely. They'd lost everything while I'd built something real. 3 years later, Raymond stood beside me as my best man at my wedding. Because he'd earned that place in my life 100 times over. My dad sent a card. I threw it away unopened. I built a career, built a family, built everything they once tried to take from me. That was enough. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.